Hello everyone, it's Kevin Skipper back with you this evening. We're going to talk a little bit more about THR Advocacy. The title of this video is Dispelling Myths About Vaping. Now, I'm not going to flash up any fancy graphics and show any screen recordings, but I will put some links in the description to this about various studies to back up the data that I'm talking about here in this video. So what you're going to hear is a mix of my interpretation and personal opinions on the myths that I commonly hear about vaping and electronic cigarettes. So the first one is e-liquid that you can put in these tanks in the open vaporizer systems can kill you or make you seriously ill. Now, again, I'm going to have disclaimers up in this video. I don't encourage anyone to do this. Because there may be some rare circumstance where maybe you're personally allergic to it or what have you. But I can tell you the vast majority, thousands of vapors that I've interacted with and talked to, including myself, have at some point spilled e-liquid on themselves in various concentrations from 3 milligrams per milliliter up to 18 to 24 milligrams per milliliter, and have had no adverse effects from it. So what that tells me is that in the concentration, which is one thing that the media and politicians and people who are trying to create drama for the vaping community and create havoc for the vaping community and sensationalize the products that we're using to stay off of tobacco cigarettes. What they're telling you is that 1 teaspoon of this stuff on your skin, or if somebody were to ingest 1 teaspoon of it, just 1 teaspoon, that it would kill them, or they would immediately feel ill or start vomiting. That may well be true, but what they always leave out is the concentration level, which is the key component here. 60, 80, 100 milligrams per milliliter, you're probably going to feel that, or it may indeed make you seriously ill or sick, or in some higher concentrations even possibly cause death. I think what everyone does, though, is this is an old Southern expression: you throw the baby out with the bathwater. 1,100 Americans are dying every day from tobacco use. 1,100 per day. Okay, I want to keep reiterating that number. That's an approximation. Something like 440 to 480,000 Americans per year from using a product that is legal and can be purchased just about anywhere in the United States of America at any time of the day or night. Perspective is key here. 1,100 a day are dying, and it's possible that a handful may have gotten sick. You have to take into account the greater good. I personally have never gotten sick from spilling e-liquid on myself, even in instances where I could only just wipe it on my jeans or something to get it off until I could wash my hands, but never have I personally had any negative effects from getting e-liquid while refilling one of these tanks on me. So that's just my personal experience with it. Nicotine toxicity, yes, at very high concentrations. At the levels that you're going to find generally accepted by e-liquid manufacturers in the United States, sold by stores in the United States, and vaped by the average vapor, probably not. So right off the top, I would like to say this. No one is claiming in the vaping industry, or no one should be claiming in the vaping industry, that vaping is safe. What we are saying without a doubt is that it is a much better alternative than smoking tobacco. I can tell you from, again, personal experience, since I have stopped smoking. I was a pack and a half a day smoker for about 15 years. I coughed up tar, the byproduct of burning a plant material, and inhaling that into my lungs for about a year after I quit smoking full time. I had the misconception that what was exhaled from this is water vapor, which is not the case. It's absolutely not water vapor. It is a vapor. It is much less carcinogenic than cigarette smoke. In the vapor that you inhale and exhale, there is no tar. Why? There's no plant matter burning. For the most part, the e-liquid contained in electronic cigarettes, the refillable versions, and even in the closed system cig-alikes, primarily contain propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, flavorings, in liquid nicotine or no nicotine at all. And as we know, nicotine itself, from several years of study, as it indicated, is not carcinogenic. It does not cause cancer. It is highly addictive. Yes, that is true. It is not what is in the cigarette that you're smoking that is killing you. It is the tar, and it is the other 4,000 plus chemicals that are generated, and carcinogens that are generated by burning a plant matter and inhaling it into your lungs, not to mention anything that's been added to the tobacco leaves themselves or the paper that's wrapped in that's burning during the process of manufacturing that you're burning and inhaling into your lungs. Just to wrap that up about vaping being more harmful than smoking, clearly 4 or 5 ingredients at most. Some manufacturers use distilled water to make the e-liquid slightly thinner, but 4 to 5 ingredients compared to who knows what's really in a tobacco cigarette and the paper that they're wrapped in. Some of the more popularized stories we've been seeing in the news the last year are of batteries exploding and causing harm to people or starting vehicles on fire. Any small electronic device that you plug in and leave in your car, which in the summer can exceed temperatures here in Florida anyway of 120, 130 degrees Fahrenheit. You leave your cell phone plugged in your car for an hour or two in that kind of temperature, and guess what it's going to do? Explode. So just like any other device, electronic device that is used by consumers, you have to have some common sense in the use of the product. If you use a product incorrectly, it will hurt you. We as adults need to realize how to use a product properly. It's not the electronic cigarette that is spontaneously combusting and causing harm. It's improper use by the consumer that in these rare occasions is causing batteries to ventilate or explode. Yes, it's a possibility. But so is plugging your iPhone in and having it blow up in your car and starting a fire. It's just that the e-cigarette is under the microscope right now, and that's what makes for a sensational news story. So that's what we see. What we, again, don't counteract those stories with is the 2 to 3 million smokers in the United States who have gotten off of tobacco cigarettes and switched to vaping. And we don't hear about how many lives have been changed because of the product. We only hear about the negative things that have happened because of improper use by the consumer. So propylene glycol is found in antifreeze, but it was added in exchange for ethylene glycol, which was found to be much more toxic if inadvertently ingested by people or animals. So what they did was they replaced it with propylene glycol, which is much less toxic. In fact, any antifreeze using propylene glycol can be labeled as non-toxic. So just to make a clear distinction, ethylene glycol is found in antifreeze. It is not found in electronic cigarettes. It is not found in e-liquid. Propylene glycol replaced ethylene glycol specifically because it is not toxic. Okay, so I don't think we need to harp on that. That's open and shut case, done. If I weren't trying to be serious and do a serious tobacco harm reduction advocacy video, I would be laughing right now. For anyone who's ever smoked or tried a cigarette, they're disgusting. They taste terrible. Your mouth tastes like an ashtray. You stink after you smoke. Your teeth turn yellow. It's just a disgusting habit. It's terrible. There is no possible way that you would vape for any extended period of time being a former smoker and desire a cigarette. None at all. They taste disgusting. It's harsh. It's just overall a bad experience compared to vaping. Again, I'm not saying vaping is the be-all and end-all. For some people, they'll use vaping to wean down cigarette use and maybe quit smoking and vaping altogether. That's fantastic. For some people who don't want to give up the habit that they take pleasure in, they found a better alternative for it. Vaping is that. I find it very hard to believe that anyone would ever vape and then smoke a cigarette and find the cigarette to be more pleasurable. It's just not the case. And you hear this constantly from politicians. This is the perception of people who are making decisions for us that are not former smokers and have not used electronic cigarettes. You can take anything legal and turn it into something that can be used for an illegal purpose. If you were thinking to yourself, electronic cigarettes should be banned just for that purpose because some people might take some illegal substance, mix it with the e-liquid and vape it and get away with it and not get caught. Again, we have to go back to the perspective issue. Look at the amount of lives that are changed for the better by vaping instead of smoking combustible tobacco cigarettes. And the reason I say that is, of course, you're going to find some people in society who are going to look for a way to take a legal thing and do illegal things with it. But you can't overlook the greater good of what's being done with electronic cigarettes, and that is people are stopping smoking. People are quitting a habit that they've maybe tried for decades to quit and found no other method that works for them. And you want to take that away because some people might possibly, a small percentage, may find some way to use illegal substance in it. I think it's ridiculous. Anyway, to wrap up that point, it's just a terrible argument. Anything in society can be used for legal purposes if the criminal mind wants to make it so. The law-abiding citizen, the person who wants to better their life or change their life, should never be punished for the one person in a million who will abuse the system. If you don't understand that as an elected official, whose duty it is to look out for the constituents who voted you into office, then I think maybe it might be time to replace you. And that actually goes for any of these points that I've talked about here tonight. If you don't care enough to do the research, don't care enough to find out what's actually these products are being used for, don't care enough to talk to your constituents who are vapors, then I don't think anyone should care enough to vote you back into office. So anyway, just to wrap things up tonight, I wanted to go over some of the myths that are common that I've heard. If you know of any other ones, please make comments in the section down below, and I'll address them in future videos. What I'm telling you is based on actual studies that I've read and research that I've done. Please subscribe and share. And remember, you don't have to do everything, but you do have to do something. Get involved.